Okay, I had to do a little rant here. Today is officially known as what they call it? International Freedom of the Press Day. International Freedom of the Press Day. In New Brunswick? Ha! I mean, come on. There's no longer any investigated stories. There's the Robert Jones. Robert is getting a little bit old, and there's no longer young journalists that steps forward and really focus on a story. They do a story. Okay, let's say the homicide that happened at Walmart Park last week or a couple of weeks ago, and they do a story, and tomorrow it's forgotten. And that's the way the media works here in New Brunswick. And let's not forget, Irving owns all the newspapers in New Brunswick, 99%. And it's just like the Dennis Holland. Remember that? Dennis Holland. Once this started, my God, young journalists working for Irving. Oh my God, we're going to focus on this. They start doing stories. Next thing you know, the Irvings said, no, we're not doing no more stories until the investigation is over and the police chief says announce a news conference, holds a news conference. And that took a few months, maybe longer. That's control. And they have to count. If somebody wants to try something new, the government and the Irvings, anybody, they go down after that person. They go after that person. They will even go as far as label them as pedophiles. Voila. To raid a blogger's place, to grab the computer, to grab all my information, my contacts and everything. That's communism. It's fascism. But that's what they do. And mark my word. This is not over yet. I'm just giving Roger Brown, the chief of police, first time I say it really, and if there's no investigation or whatever of all my issues, we got a problem. Stay tuned. But going back to freedom, there's no freedom. Look at the time when Blaine Higgs announced, really, les Acadiens, we're not going to have la francophonie. I'm not interested in those news conferences. I showed up there. Jean-François Pelletier, J.F. Pelletier, Communication New Brunswick. I just happened to be there. The commissioner said, oh, Monsieur Leblanc's going. He looked at me with hate and he goes, no. J.F. Pelletier, how the hell did a man like that end up in Communication New Brunswick? That's what I want to know. And to have a man like that to deny the media or the press to attend something like this, we got a problem. And there's no freedom here in New Brunswick. I remember when I first started the blogging, what they did, Atlantica. They came right after me. Of course, the chief of police in St. John apologized. Had a meeting, he apologized because they tried. They had to shut me down. This was before Facebook, everything. They said I had no right to a lawyer. And they just went on after me. And I was found not guilty. There was nothing in the media. CBC covered it, thank God. Irving, once they found out the St. John police force were lying on the stand, they took off. Then my story appears in the New York Times. And then the Irvings were forced to cover it. So there's no freedom. They even banned me from the legislature for life. Because Vancouver, what's her name again? Is it Gisèle Vancouver? A liberal worker, her son murdered a young girl and he jumped off the bridge after. I covered it like every media. She made a complaint, then they banned me from the legislature. And it's because also I was bringing poor people inside the people's house. You can't bring poor people inside the people's house because they're all a bunch of snobs. But they banned me. It's better that way. I don't want to go in there anyway. But when I'm outside, that's where I go after the politician. And if our media go, I'm first. I got seniority. So this freedom of international day, it doesn't exist in New Brunswick because New Brunswick were as close as what you call a Russian style of government when it comes to the media. And if somebody asks too many questions, no problem. They socialize with the bureaucrat, then they appoint them to Communication New Brunswick, and then their career as journalists are over. All they got to do is write a few pieces, and then they got a job for life. So don't look at me and say, well, this is freedom of international media day. In New Brunswick, you know what I call it? La merde.